forbidden moves, treacherous strikes, hospital-grade damage. This isn't one wrestler's story, it's a rogues gallery. From Harumafuji's illegal blows to nightmare moves like Kawazugake and the controversial Kakenage that made arenas gasp. Buckle up, on SumoSpirit we're unearthing the darkest, most fascinating secrets of banned and nearly banned sumo techniques. Let's start with punching or tsukamite. In sumo, closed fist strikes, essentially throwing a punch like a boxer, are strictly forbidden. Open hand thrusts and slaps or harite are allowed as they distribute force over a wider area, helping unbalance or push an opponent without concentrating impact on a single point. A tsuki or thrust with an open palm can be powerful, but when that same force is focused into a clenched fist, it turns into a weapon rather than a wrestling technique. Why is punching banned? Unlike in boxing or MMA, sumo wrestlers wear no gloves or protective gear, so a direct closed fist blow could cause severe injury. The concentrated force of a punch can break bones or cause concussions, outcomes that sumo's rules seek to avoid. A strike clashes with the spirit of sumo, which emphasizes technique and leverage over brute violence. It also violates the sacred values of the sport. Sumo is as much about ritual, respect, and tradition as it is about physical strength, so using a blatantly dangerous strike is seen as deeply dishonorable. The Japan Sumo Association classifies a closed fist punch as a grave foul. If a wrestler throws a punch in an official bout, the referee will stop the match and declare an immediate loss by disqualification for the offender. There is no leniency or warning. The match ends on the spot. How often do punches happen? Thankfully, deliberate punches are extremely rare in professional sumo. Top division wrestlers are highly trained to use open hand strikes only, and even in the heat of battle they avoid making a fist. In fact, kinjite are exceedingly rare and unlikely to be seen in the higher divisions of sumo. Most lifelong sumo fans have never seen a true punch thrown in a match. The only time you might witness a sumo wrestler punch someone is during shokekiri, the comedy exhibitions where wrestlers perform illegal moves in a lighthearted skit for the crowd. Let's continue with hair pulling or majitsukami, simply grabbing the chonmage. That top knot isn't just hair, it's the wrestler's crown. Touch the mawashi? Legal. Slam with open palms? Legal. But grab the chonmage and you've crossed the sacred line. In sumo, majitsukami is a kinjite, a forbidden act that brings instant disqualification because it's dangerous, humiliating, and trashes centuries of ritual dignity. Roll the tape. Nagoya Basho, July 2003. Yokozuna Asashoryu dominates fellow Mongolian Kyokushuzan. Then, in a flash, he yanks the top knot and gets disqualified. First time ever a Yokozuna lost a bout for a foul. The arena gasped. Headlines exploded. Another example, Natsu 2021, Day 11, Terunofuji vs. Myogiryu. After a fierce grapple, the judges ruled Hansoku on Terunofuji for a hair pull or majitsukami, awarding the win to Myojiryu. It marked Terunofuji's first loss of the tournament. Why does it matter? The chonmage symbolizes rank, discipline, and identity. Attacking it isn't a strategy, it's disrespect. Now, choking or kubishime. This is not the legal nodowa, an open palm shoved to the throat to lift the opponent's center of gravity. Remember that nodawa? It's typically performed during the tachiai. The rikishi extends his arm and places the heel of his palm on the opponent's throat to lift his chin, break his posture, and push him backward. Kubishime is different. It's a grip or pressure intended to restrict breathing. A choke, that crosses from technique into endangerment, with risks ranging from tracheal injury to loss of consciousness. So the rule is absolute. No grabbing the throat, no strangulation, automatic hansoku. For clarity in editing, show a quick contrast. Legal nodowa, open hand thrust to the throat that pushes back without compressing the windpipe. Illegal kubishimi, any sustained squeeze, forearm bar, or hand clamp that closes the airway or strangles. Sumo is brutal but bounded. Leverage, timing, and open hand power are celebrated. Strangulation is a fast track to disqualification. Let's continue with eye gouging or mitsubushi. Another kinjite that is absolutely off limits is attacking the opponent's eyes. Mitsubushi, which literally means eye crush or eye destroyer, refers to poking, gouging, or clawing at an opponent's eyes. This foul move involves deliberately targeting the eyes with fingers or a thumb, for example, jabbing at the eye socket or pressing into the eye. It's an obviously ruthless and dangerous tactic, one you would never expect to see in an honorable sumo bout. A forceful poke or gouge can cause catastrophic injuries, including corneal scratches, retinal damage, or even the loss of an eye. Even a minor poke can scratch the cornea, while a severe gouge could lead to permanent vision loss. There's also a risk of infection or other complications if the eye is injured. Wrestlers are trained to keep their fingers together or curled inward on thrusts, so as not to accidentally spear an eye. Like punching, eye gouging is explicitly listed as a forbidden act by the JSA. If a rikishi were to attack his opponent's eye, the match would be stopped and he would be immediately disqualified, forfeiting the win to his opponent. This holds true whether the foul was intentional or accidental. The referees will err on the side of safety if a finger goes near the eyes. Fortunately, intentional eye gouging is virtually unheard of in modern sumo. It's the turn of kicking to the chest or waist, often misnamed kintekigeri. In sumo, kicks to the chest or waist are flat out forbidden, a kinjite that brings instant disqualification. The official lists of fouls explicitly include kicking at the opponent's chest or waist, and kid-focused rule pages say the same. Why so strict? Because an upward torso kick can be catastrophic, broken ribs, internal trauma, and rikishi wear no protective gear. Another kick, kicking the knees or hizageri, targeting the knee joint. Deliberately kicking the knee joint is banned. Guides spell it out. While trips and sweeps are legal, kicking the knee joint is dangerous and prohibited. The rationale is obvious. One well-placed shot can destroy ligaments or dislocate the joint. Safety line: sumo permits tripping or sweeping below the knee with the sole, timed as a throw, but no knee strikes meant to collapse the leg. If we compare with ketaguri, the last is a legal inside ankle sweep. The wrestler uses the sole or inner edge of the foot to hook or tap the opponent's ankle, often right off the tachiai, while pulling the arms or shoulders to steal balance. Contact stays low at the foot, ankle. The goal is disruption rather than damage, and a successful attempt is recorded as a valid kimarite. Let's continue with grabbing below the mawashi, or mawashi shitaduri, groin area grip. The belt is fair game, except the vertical front that protects the groin. That zone is sacred. Any grip from underneath near the genitals is a kinjite and brings instant disqualification. Use the mawashi to lift, throw, or force out. Legal? Reach under and yank from the groin? Why, it's banned. It's invasive, dangerous, and humiliating, painful pressure on the most vulnerable area on the body, with zero connection to skillful sumo. Another? Striking with elbows or hiji-ate. Elbows don't belong in the doyo. Point of elbow blows, hiji-ate, cross the line from sumo to street fight. Sumo does allow open hand power, slaps and supari, and even the hard forearm check at the tachiai known as kachiage. But does a tucked arm elbow point to the face or jaw? That's a foul. Forearm, legal. Elbow tip, out. The difference protects wrestlers who fight barehanded, without headgear, and keeps the sport inside its code of respect. Still, that legal gray zone gets loud. One famous flashpoint, Hakuho winning with brutal forearm power at the tachiai, drawing public criticism from the Yokozuna Deliberation Council for rough tactics like kachiage and heavy harite. The council blasted the optics. The rulebook still allowed the forearm. That's the line we're showing you. Legal forearm versus illegal elbow. Now, headbutts or zutsuki, using the head as a weapon. Here, the head itself is wielded as a weapon, smashed into the opponent's face, chest, or head. The zutsuki embodies raw power, an unflinching collision of bone against flesh. But the tremendous force generated by a headbutt comes at great cost. Both the attacker and the defender are put in grave danger when their skulls become instruments of destruction, as even a properly delivered headbutt can injure the person executing it. Kyushu 2022, a rare three-way playoff. The arena is electric until the tachiai turns violent. Takayasu launches forward, his head slamming into Abi's chest, then crumples, dazed, on the clay. Silence. He kneels, hands to his head, wobbling, unable to rise on his own. Officials hurry in. He needs help to leave the ring. Moments like this show exactly why deliberate headbutts are forbidden in sumo. One collision can rattle the brain, scramble balance, and turn victory into a medical emergency. And that's the line. Accidental head clashes can happen in a furious takiai, but deliberate zutsuki is outlawed, a kinjite that ends the bout on the spot. Sumo celebrates leverage, timing, and open hand power. It does not turn skulls into battering rams. No helmets, no padding. One bad impact can mean concussion, fractures, weeks lost to recovery, or a career altered. It's the turn of grabbing or twisting fingers, yubiduri. With yubiduri, the opponent's fingers are seized and twisted, targeting the small joints of the hand. Unlike legitimate pushes, lifts, or throws, this cruel maneuver doesn't try to overpower or unbalance the opponent. It is intended purely to cause pain and injury. What kind of victory comes from dismantling the smallest bones of a warrior? One without glory, one without honor. Finger manipulation can easily lead to dislocations, fractures, or torn tendons. Injuries that not only hinder a rikishi's ability to fight, but may permanently jeopardize his career. For that reason, such tactics are seen as profoundly unsportsmanlike, a stain on the purity of combat. And here the ring draws a bright line. Control the arm, lock the elbow, even trap the wrist. Yes, isolate a finger. No. The moment the rikishi squeezes, twists, or peels a finger back, the gyoji halts the action and the shimpan call it what it is. Kinjite. Sumo hands are meant for grip and placement. On the mawashi, the shoulders, the torso, not for turning joints into levers. Finally attacking the groin, kingeri, or any intentional low blow. This illegal move involves deliberately striking the opponent's groin, usually with a kick or direct blow. The goal? To inflict excruciating pain in one of the most sensitive areas of the human body. Unsurprisingly, such an act is classified as a kinjite. It is prohibited because groin attacks can cause serious injuries, from trauma to the genitals to internal damage and unbearable pain. A sufficiently forceful low blow can even result in ruptured testicles or other permanent harm. To strike at the core of life itself is not only dangerous, it is seen as an insult to the warrior code of sumo. The audacity of those illegal blows, or the overwhelming power of techniques like the kawazugake? One thing is for sure, sumo is not just a sport, it's a spectacle of power, honor, and limits that must not be crossed. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the SumoSpirit channel for more content. See you in the next video.